Good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. Little Dragon. All are having a good day. Hey, Mr. Wizzix, how's it going? How is it going? Hope you're doing well. So, I will tell you right now, we're going to play it by ear on how long we go tonight. My allergies have been going kind of crazy the last few days, so I've been doubling up on the allergy meds. So, we'll see how long this lets me go today. But we did get all of the parts for the Baby Belt Pro printed. Um, so we've got all the parts ready to go, printed part wise. We've got last stream we oh, excuse me. So last stream we got basically our lower um body built up on things. We got our lower body frame here built out. We skipped ahead a few steps. Okay, thank you. And we got our extruder installed and we got our Z motor installed. Now we're going to have to do a couple of other things. We also jumped ahead and did a little bit of wiring for just this stuff. I think my plan is to go ahead and wire as we work through this so that, big meat hands can get down in here and do things. But with that said, give me 1 second here. I did get a couple things in the mail today. We got a EBB 36. So this is a CAN bus toolhead board that can go on the smaller round motors like you see on a Orbiter, Sherpa Mini, or what have you. Hey, Ash Prince, welcome in. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, how are you doing? Thank you, buddy. We also got 2 of the new Big Tree Tech CB2 modules. So I haven't used these yet, so this will be a first time for me on using these. Figured if I was going to pay for shipping, I might as well get some things. We got another Pandalux light bar. That way we can make this one a little bit brighter like the other one. This is one of the upgrades that I didn't get 2 of when I did it. And then got a KB3D card. I picked up LDO motor. This is a NEMA 17 because, or excuse me, a NEMA 14 pancake. And the goal behind this is a fallback if the all 3D or the A3DP motor, which just takes a while or gets lost in the mail somewhere, we can always fall back and use this one on the Sherpa, the FISEC aluminum Sherpa Mini. And that way we can go ahead and get the Trident back up and running with a Sherpa, which is, once again, we would have to do some conversion over to the EBB 36 and do some reflashing and stuff like that. But we have options now. And if we wind up the A3DP motor does come in soon, then we can just get that back up and running. And that can, like I said, be used on something else down the way. But it is baby belt time. Hey, Tugboat, how's it going? Welcome on in. So you'll now see there's a few other parts laying around here. We'll get KB3D and the Bamboo Labs thing out of the way because that'll just be something I'll install off stream. But you'll see we have things like our Baby Belt Pro, a bunch of other parts here that we were going to need. And I want you to check this color scheme out. So we've got the Green Gate, Your Royal Highness, the blue, and we've got this uh, Magic Magenta. I think it's Magic Magenta's of it. Believe it or not, this is a fluorescent color too. So I'm gonna have to get a black light underneath this and see how it glows one day. But everything printed out well. I did need to print these out twice. The first time I printed them out, I just hit the default because Rob said, hey, do default. And I did normal supports. Do not do normal supports. It fully encased this, and trying to get it off, I kept snapping this top edge off. So my suggestion would be to do tree supports on these. So we're gonna yes, it's a really awesome blue. I'm a blue guy. I like blue a lot, and so I really like the way this came out. And this magenta is really, really nice looking. And it is, once again, I can find the tool over here. It is Magic Magenta Pet G. So definitely something to give a shot. And we're gonna go this view. All right, it worked that time. Great. Okay, so we're gonna come over here. We've got this view. Let me pull it back over there. And this is where we're gonna start off. I'm gonna take these parts and just kind of scoot them away or out of the way some. We'll be grabbing these as we put things together today. And like I said, if my nose holds out, we'll be able to make some fairly good progress today. Okay, everything's out of the way. We're going to need our front piece here. And this is once again, the front piece that will hold the camera. I hit these with the heat gun earlier to try and get off any of the fuzzies, which on Pet G just makes the fuzzies curl up. Then you just have to take a quick little file or a blade and just take the edge off. So there's our front face. This will be an inlet for the cables later on. And then we're going to put our display right in here. So we're going to need M3 by 10 screws here. Screws, bolts, whatever you want to call it. We'll need our screen, which we had already taken out. Our ducky. And some cables. I was about to do the normal thing, take this and throw it down the bottom of the stairs, but Mrs. Dragon will be coming up here in a little bit with some coffee, so let's not lay any tripping hazards for her. So we're going to take our screen and some M3 10 millimeter long bolts. Four of these. Slide the screen into the inside of the screen mount, secure from the back with the M3 by 10 screws. You recommend not fully tightening them until you have all of them in. That is always a good suggestion. The other thing that we're probably going to need to do is the peel. So let's get that out of the way. All ready? We'll grab it here. Do the peel. Whoops. Ah, there we go. Nice little ASMR. And then what do? You go fingerprints all over it. We're going to take our screen and set it in here. Things lined up. And we've got to put a bolt in all four corners. The two at the top of the screen are pretty easy to get to. So I'll get these two started. Hey, Bearded Printer, how's it going? Whoops. And then these other two, we have these access holes back here. So we're going to have to kind of get the head of the bolt on the driver through the hole and drop the driver or drop the bolt. I do this 2 or 3 times. So once again, we're not going to snug it all the way up so we get all 4 started. You're going into plastic, so just be careful. You don't want to ugga-dugga it and break the plastic or crack the circuit board. How's it going, Bearded Printer? Hope you're doing well. Okay, so I'm just looking and see what we got. So we've got the encoder, we've got a buzzer, we've got a reset button. The USB and the SD card slot on here obviously aren't going to be used because they're blocked. So we will be using the connector, the EXP connector at the top, or the TFT connector, which I think is the one we're going to use as the TFT connector. Sorry about the sniffles here. And yeah, that's what we're going to do is the TFT connector. So we can take these and throw them in the bin for use on a different screen down the road. And we've got a JST connector side and a DuPont connector side. It's telling us to use the JST connector side, and we're going into the lower of the 2 JST connectors. Top one is SWD, and the bottom one is the RS232, which means we'll be talking to this over serial. Now we can install the screen on the printer, which is going to go right here in the front. Now before we do that, which will be an M3 by 20 and a hex head nut, I'm going to figure out where this gets plugged in and get that plug-in done. How's everybody doing tonight? You answer that while I mute the mic real fast and I'll speak off the camera real. All right, like I said, I don't know what got into my nose today, but it is not happy. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got this really super long cable that's going to get plugged into our main board back here somewhere, and then we're going to have to connect these two together. Well, as you can see, well, when I get this lined up and I go to connect these two together, we're going to have cable back here for days. So we need to be able to take care of this and get it tucked in and out of the way. So I'm just going to jump down here to wiring, see where our screen goes to. Jumpers need, TFT screen is the 4 and the 1. Got a 4 pin and a 1 pin. So this is going to go on these 5 pins right here. It's the 4, then the 1. So 1 goes all the way on the side with the motors. 4 goes right next to it. That's going to go there. Now what this will give us the ability to do is potentially zip tie these so that we can sneak them down here a little bit out of the way. We could potentially even run it under these wires. Come on. There we go. Now, once again, we're going to need to set this on its side and set it on the wrong side, but you'll see how this lines up in here. And we're going to put a nut in here and then the bolts coming down from this side. So I actually need to flip this over like so. Take our M3 nut, slide it in the slot there, push it in. We'll take our bolt, drop it down in there, head, lined up. Tightening up. Don't know if we are or not. Sure that's not twisting it all on me. Good gracious. I kind of feel like maybe something's not lined up. This one's fully in. Lining up. Something was not lined up. See if I can get this to back out. back in. Lined up appropriately now this time. That feels a lot better. There we go. So we now have our front. Like I said, we'll be able to take this, maybe zip tie this part together and scroll it down in the front corner over here, just so it's out of the way, or might actually just stay pretty nicely out of the way by itself there. We've just tucked it in a corner right down there, nice and out of the way. Okay, so now we're going to come back up into the base assembly up here. See where we need to catch up. Just did the screen install. Got the cable connected on one end. Just went through and connected these. Now we need to install two M3x10s into both the top ears. Those are these pieces right here, and that's going to hold it in place. There does not seem to be any M3 nut for those, so this is just two M3x10s into plastic. Hey Timor, welcome on in. And thank you for the big hype gigantic sticker, Bearded Printer. And once again, we're snugging these up. We're not cinching them down. It does say back each with an M3 nut, so I guess we are going to do an M3 nut on these. Probably good that I can feel the back side of it. And granted, this is not going to see a lot of vibration. If this had some vibration to it, we might want to go with whatchamacallit, self-locking nuts rather than these. For that kind of reason, you don't want your M3 nut to drop, especially not down to a potentially energized board. This is what I was talking about having hand mitts, trying to do this stuff. Am I on this? Apparently I'm still not on the screw. So once again, this is the fun part, is like, I'm not sure if I'm getting deep enough with the, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm actually getting enough exposed threads to get one of these on there. that side I got at least a couple of threads in. This other side has been the pickle. Hey Glendon, how's it going? Welcome in. We're trying to see how many takes it's going to take me to get these M3 nuts on the backs of these screws. I've dropped it about 3 times already. We're going to see if we can get these to cinch up any. Well, darn you. Tools are all wrong for all of the tools. Oh yeah. I just don't think this one is going to be long enough for whatever reason, so I'm going to replace it with an M3 by 12. So I can definitely get a couple of more millimeters of thread through there and actually get a nut on it. Oh yeah, that's going to be chicken. That'll make me feel better. How have you been, Glendon? And I think I'm going to do it on the other side as well, just so they're the same. So much learning. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for the subscribe. I appreciate it. Put these over there. I'm sure we'll need them again soon. I'm getting a little excited for Murph as well. I don't know how much of it is Murph or how much of it is me just wanting to get away from work for a while. Okay, it didn't tell me to do it yet, but we're going to go ahead and put our knob on because why the heck not? We got a knob. I don't think we've 3D printed knobs. Now it tells us to do our extruder. Hey, our extruder's already there. We did that. We jumped ahead and did that. We still need to press our gear on the Z motor there. Sorry, folks. I keep having to run off stream because of my sinuses and everything's running. We'll set this up on its side. Now, if you remember our discussion last time, this needs to be a press fit. And if it's not a press fit, then you'll need to reprint this and size it down because otherwise all you're going to do is just, we'll say, spin the dial. It does have a D shape on the inside of it. Probably a bit easier to try and push from the motor down. So maybe we'll do that. We'll take the motor out real fast. It's not like it's just 4 screws. Easy enough to put back in place. For Murph. Yep. I'm ready to go. Like I said, just work is just blah. Looking forward to Remurf. I think this weekend we're going to go to uh, Goldsboro after stream on Saturday and see our niece and everybody. They're going to try and get us to spend the night and go to Easter Sunday with them at church, and we're going to disappoint them and be the not nice kids. Okay, so what I'm thinking is we get the D slot lined up. Kind of get that in the right place, and then we'll push down, straight down on the motor and shaft until we hear it hit. And there we go. There's our D shaft motor or our D shaft gear installed. It's now flush with the edge, which is where we want to start it. Press the Z motor gear onto the Neo 17 shaft. The gear teeth should face the body, gear teeth, body of the motor. Note that there is a slight interference fit, not a slide fit. If it slides on easily, you need to reprint it and size it down some. If you kind of have to give it a push like I did, you're probably pretty good. Now, I would probably also say print one or two extras of your gears. Um, if anything's going to strip, it's going to be a gear, and it's a quick print, so you might as well have some spares on hand in case something goes wrong. Hi, Mrs. Dragon. How are you? Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Whoops. Let's get this tightened back up. Alrighty. So we now have our extruder installed and we have our drive motor installed. Z drive motor installed. What's up next? We're going to assemble the rollers. Note that the bomb list hex head bolts. You must use M8 hex head for the Z driven roller on one side where the bolt head goes into the drive. For all our other M8 bolts, as long as they're all thread, you can use whatever. So our kits here, we got our M8 nuts and our M8 bolts. So open these up and we'll get these started. Or we'll get one of these started. So we'll have a bolt. We'll have our drive gear. Once again, there's the hex head in that drive gear. Also going to need our skateboard bearings. So check the ends of the rollers and make sure that they're clean. And that's looking at these fellers. That one has stuff in it. You want to be able to see all the way through, see something on the other side, which you can there, but this one has some gunk still in it from one of the supports. So let me see if I can get that knocked out one way or the other. Seriously? What do I have that's longer than that? Skinny and long, skinny and long. No jokes for the peanut gallery. Ooh, see if my plastic pusher will push whatever out. There we go. Definitely seen better days. Um, there we go. That's cleared out now. We got some of the support material that had been down in the middle of the tube out. So those are now nice and clean. We're going to install the hex head of the bolt into the Z roller gear. Make sure the flats of the heads line up. Get it pressed all the way in. Okay. This head is not into the gear yet. That is true. We're now in the gear head, but we're not fully flat against the. Need a M8 bearing. Put an M8 bearing on there. We're going to take one of our ends, but when we put one of these roller ends on, we need to put a M8 nut down in one of the grooves and make sure that we get it lined up on our thingamajob here. Basically going to twist it down on there. Don't really go too much because there's not a lot of material here. It's kind of thin. You can bust this out right at the top and then you're stuck. So there's our roller from one end of the roller. Now on the other end, we're going to repeat, but with the gear for the idler on this side of the roller. So we'll put another M8 nut in there. We'll grab another M8 bolt, put a roller bearing on it, and then we're just going to get this going. Looks like we're going to leave some type of gap. Don't know how much yet, so we'll leave something there, right? This is one we'll want to lightly wrap some electrical tape or Plastidip for extra belt to roller grips. We need to make sure that this side has a little something extra for it to grip the belt with. So grab our whatchamacallit here, our electrical tape. Gonna wrap this. You seem to do it in two directions. I'm going to do it in one direction and just kind of take it the full Monty. Like that. Nice cut on this edge. Kind of whatever that was. There we go. What do you guys think? Should we do it both directions, or that should be good enough? That should be good. Now, next. Build the other roller like this, but we don't need to tape it or use a gear on that one. So our other roller, do the same way. We'll get a couple of our 8mm nuts out. A couple of those screws. Get a bearing, nut. Pop that in there. You have a little bit of something down on the lip. That. How's everybody doing? Everybody's pretty quiet tonight. That in there, we'll grab our other bearing and screw, bolt. Doing great. Okay. And you said it's graduation week for you, right? Tugboat. So you guys are going to have to be coming out in onesie twosies, lurking on a call, Pez. That makes sense. That makes sense. You're here and listening and driving. Well, be safe. Just listen. Don't try and look and respond. Move the roller and install M3 nuts in the cutouts on the sides. Oh, that's just us testing the roller. So what we're doing is we're going to bring our roller in. Make sure our tape is like sticking on there. We're going to slide our roller into the back here, making sure that our rollers line up in the back here. And the other thing we're doing is making sure that our gears line up. And as you can see, our gears are not lining up. So I think the option is to push this gear in or potentially unwind this gear, but I believe we want this gear to be solid in here and not back this side out any. So we'll wind up needing to push this in. It's making contact, but it's not making full contact. So we need to move this in quite a bit. Not that much. Oy. There maybe? A bit more. There we go. Full engagement. That's the ticket right there. So you see I pushed that on just a little bit. Now we have full engagement with that roller. This is a herringbone pattern roller, so we'll get a really good engagement that way. Now, it tells us to Just fit the drive roller onto the frame. Make sure the gears mesh properly. If they don't line up, you might need to slide the motor Z gear in or out on the NEMA 17 shaft. We did that. Now we want to remove these and install M3 nuts on the cutouts in the sides. Okay, remove these. And it's actually showing it as if we're up like this, but we're putting M3 nuts in this slot right here on each side. So, sorting 5-gallon of metric bolts. Ooh, who did you piss off, or did you knock over a thing of bolts? Oh yeah, definitely tugboat, definitely. Finals and graduation. Yeah, kind of don't necessarily miss that. So we want to squirt these in. Make sure that they're fully inserted and lined up. There we go. Now, yep, we've verified that they're properly lined up in the hole. Now, slide the gear-driven roller into the print belt, then put back onto the frame. After that, install the scraper by using 2 M3x20 bolts from the front. Okay, here's where we kind of go sideways a bit. Because I still haven't, I still haven't done my shopping yet for my belt. So, enter a standard baby belt that we were building. Had some issues. There's new printed parts that I hadn't fully done yet. So I'm going to pull this off to the side and we're going to take the belt from this one. Hopefully it's the same size belt. Hey Shrimp Father, how's it going? We're just going to pop these out. Once again, this is a standard baby belt, not a Baby Belt Pro. Should be relatively the same thing. So I'm hoping that it's the same size actual belt. Can I get this out without taking the front scraper off? I can. Hopefully. Yeah, I'll have to work on that. We have a belt. And who knows, maybe we will reprint that as Oof to Maze. Yeah, that's not going to work. This is going to be too small. So dang it, we're going to have to work around this because we're not going to install this with a belt yet because we don't have a belt. I mean, I can install this here just so it's off of the bench and things are out of the way, but I will have to take it off later on. Again, this is going to pop in here and the two halves are going to line up over those bearings to make those captive bearings. M3x20. Yeah, no, it won't work. It's not long enough. But don't worry, we'll make one. I thought about it today. I was like, ooh, I need to go get one. And I didn't because I wound up having some additional meetings that I was not planning on. And like before, I'm not going to get that one all the way tight until I get this other one going in. We'll pull these tight and they'll close the gap on each side. And it's quite obvious now that this bolt can get screwed all the way in. So we'll just do that. Okay, and it also means that we won't have our belt kind of in the way. And with 2 screws, I'll be able to take this back out, slide the belt on, put the 2 screws back in, and then do the other roller. Which also means that I can take these and put them all the way inside. Maybe. Don't argue with me. Okay, that one feels like there might be something catching the threads. Yeah, that's what you kind of want, is this tight against the bearing and this tight all the way against the edge. This one's just being stubborn, like it's bit into something with the bolts. Almost like there was some plastic that it was digging into that it pulled out with it. Huh. Oh, why? Hopefully it'll stop being a pain in the butt. Hey, Ramon, how's it going? Made you smile? Well, I'm glad we made you smile. So busy? Yeah, I gotcha. Hey, Free Heathen, you love the colors? Thanks. So it is your Royal Highness blue and uh, magic magenta. And I saw somewhere where the magic magenta, I believe, is fluorescent, meaning with a black light, it should glow. So, and you'll see just like this that our bearings are going to line up, and that would be our tension mechanism, is pulling this tighter, and there will be pieces here that will push them tighter actually. So we're just kind of putting this in place for right now. We don't have our belt made. I was going to sneak the belt off of our other baby belt, but yeah, that's not going to do it. I think this is a shorter belt because that's we kind of line this up. Yeah, that's a lot shorter because this stopping point is about where this drops in. So, and who knows? Maybe I'll take all, build a second one of these out of all the other parts. But I'll have to get the material tomorrow. We'll build the belt Saturday and just pop the belt in. We can hopefully get everything to go. I'm not going to worry about doing that center bolt down here because it would just have to be taken out. So we'll leave that for now. This is the picture. It says to do, use a more recent pick without a pie in it. Yeah. You can see a slightly different gearing on here as it has like lightning holes through it or something. The tensioning mechanism, that's what we're going to work on next. So we will need a couple of parts. These two and those two. That one, and these are our parts that we're going to use. We'll need our nuts and our bolts. So got our last two bolts and our last four nuts. Coffee from the one and only Pumpkin. Ah, that would be why. 1 second, folks. We'll see if she gets that. I noticed the last couple of times, one, they used different type of stickers, so I couldn't see the whole order. But this just mentions the coffee. It doesn't mention the sweet and low. So I have a feeling there's no sweetener in it. And that might be why it's decidedly different tasting all of a sudden. Okay, let me clear this stuff up. Now that I don't have a tension belt this thing. Okay. Sit down for a minute. Hey Kegel, how's it going? Yeah, this is it's magenta, but yeah, it does look kind of pink, doesn't it? Does look kind of pink. Okay, we're going to push the bolt through the pusher parts and then crank down one nut into the hex cutout. Get this pretty snug. Do this for both sides. Okay, so we're looking at these parts here. You'll see there's a hex nut spot here, and you've got these curved openings, right? So we're going to take our bolt, which in this case, it looks like they've got a furniture bolt there, but this should still work. There we go. That'll go all the way down. Hopefully this should work. It's what's coming in the kit. We want to basically run this the full length. No, all of the filament for this build is Green Gate PET G. So it is Green Gate, sorry. It is Green Gate, Your Royal Highness, and Green Gate, Mighty Magenta. And the magenta, I believe, like I said, is fluorescent. So that ought to be pretty cool. Yeah, I saw that you ran some Goshen Grape recently. I just had to go down to Evocate the other day, like yesterday, and drop off that 0G Mercury printer that I got going for them. And I knew I was going to need to pick up another roll of this because Mrs. Dragon picked this out at Murph. She was, or no, not Murph, at whatchamacallit. No, maybe it was Murph. Maybe it was Murph because at 3D Printtopia, I think we only got the Maryland Blue Crab. But she has been talking with the Green Gate folks a lot, and Ecovate carries Green Gate. Ecovate, yeah, ECOVATE 3D. They're a 3D printing store here in Raleigh. And So they're a 3D printing store here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I go down there quite often. They have the Optimus P1 that I was working on the electronics and toolhead for. We've decided we're going to completely redesign a new toolhead for it, get rid of some of their wires and go full CAN bus with it, and rebraid it, for lack of a better term. We'll keep all the old parts in case they ever wind up selling it to somebody and they want to go back to the old way. But yeah, we're going to change something. The Green Gate folks are extremely friendly. They are good for veterans, first responders. Uh, they always give us good deals. Echovate is they are bamboo distributor, Prusa distributor. They're getting Elegoo, at least the Centauri carbons. There's something new that they're getting ready to get in that I was made aware of yesterday. I might get one here on stream, or I might stream from there because Fabreeko, while at Rapid TCT, came to an agreement with them to um, sponsor a creator booth. So what they're going to do is they're going to set up a place where local creators can come in and actually live stream from the store right out in the middle of the, not in the middle of the store floor, but in one of the back corners of the store floor. And so they can show off new builds or what have you. And, you know, this kit was provided by Fabreeko. There's something else coming soon that's provided by Fabreeko as well. So, we may have to do something like that. Hey, Lost Inc., how's it going? And I'm sorry, Von Deathheart, how's it going? Evening to y'all, focusing on packing, but listening to tips for newbie in 3D printer. Knowledge so far, have taken apart an Artillery X1 and messed it up, bought a pawn shop CR6SE to find the heads broken, and finally bought a new P1S. There you go. Tips looking for. Upgrade the computer board from 8-bit to 32-bit on X1, and possibly what to do for printing room ideas. Well, um, I I don't know what you might do with printing room ideas. By the way, that's the top rack, and the bottom rack's full of printers as well. We've also got a few printers over here, one project down on the floor. Yeah, I'm not really good for being the printing room idea guy because I also have printers in just about every room in the house. So, hey, Keela's Way, how's it going? Jerry 3DHP, welcome in, friend. How's it going? But yeah, the Artillery X1, I do not have one, but I am more than willing to help you out. Let me know what kind of motherboard you want to put into it, and I can grab schematics from both of them and kind of help you walk through where to wire things up at and get it going. Um, Google getting Digital Dragon sponsored by Duncan. Yeah, if I can get sponsored by Duncan or Black Rifle Coffee Company, that would be awesome. Um, and bear with me 1 second here. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't taste like they put anything in it. You did when you got home? Okay. One then, if you've added at least one already for futures. Yes. All right. Hold on. You want to take this back with you? Thank you. All right. Now we got that taken care of. Every moment of success, triumph, and sadness will be caught on the Duncan cam. There you go. They sponsor lots of people. I have reached out, but I never got a response back. I will try again. But yeah, it would be great if I could get a coffee sponsorship. That would be mad awesome. Okay, so we got both of the bolts into the two headpieces here. Now we need to take the other two bolts and just stick them in here. And that is a complete no fit. So these may actually need to be reprinted. We'll let them go this way for now. They'll stay captive, so it's not too bad. But I may reprint those. So these are going to slide into these pieces. And we'll say they'll be like this. These will go vertically into these pieces. And then screw the frames into the pushers. Make sure that the frames are facing the correct way. Thicker part on the back with the M3 hole. There's an M3 hole here on the back. So this one needs to go on this side because this is a thicker part with the M3 hole. This will go in here like this. And as long as I can turn this and actually get the M8 bolt to turn, which I am, these should work fine for now. That's kind of what we're looking for. Okay. Do the same thing here. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It'd be nice if it was a little tighter on those bolts, but it's workable and doable for now. The only way to keep me from going crazy, yes. I wake up and I choose violence, and then I get coffee and I choose devious violence. We'll go that way. Okay, so there's our two tensioner pusher pieces. Now to use M320 bolts, install the pusher in the frame. Note that the curved sides of the pusher face down and the flat sides of the pusher face up. So I'm going to say this is the curved side of the pusher and this is the flat side of the pusher. So this flat side will face up. And we're going to be going in here like this. So is that just into, I think that's just into plastic. No M3 nut there that I'm seeing. A slot for an M3 nut. Okay. This piece will slide in here. Maybe. Piece will slide in here. Or not. Or not, or not, or not. Okay, just a wee bit too thick. I'm going to need to run a file over one of the edges. I don't need to file the whole part, and I don't need to take a whole lot off. I just need to take this side down just slightly where that screw hole is. There we go. That's lined up there. Um, Now use M3 by 20 bolts to install the pushers in the frame. Okay. Really don't have a clue, but you've upgraded the head to a Bondtech combo. Figured while you're at it, you might as well play with the board and learn that. Most definitely. Um, Most definitely. Yeah, I will. If you reach out to my Discord, so do a exclamation point Discord on and get yourself added to the Discord there, and we can definitely chat about all kinds of things you can do to that. Like I said, we're taking I say we. So Echovate 3D has a Optimus P1 that was dropped off to them. Okay. Um, that side goes up. Okay, so you see how this lines up in there? And so this curved piece goes to the inside and is going to be the pusher that you're using to push this forward and tension the frame. So we can literally start with this fully undone, possibly. And then we'll just push it forward as we go. So this one go in, or we're going to might have to do a couple of swipes with our file on this side. But yeah, they got an Optimus P1, which is a 600 by 600 by 1000 print volume printer. And it needed some TLC. We did some TLC for it. We've got it up and running. It does push plastic, it does print, but we're quickly saying like it prints and it prints dog slow. And for a printer that size, the guy was saying that, prints take weeks, of anything of size. And we're like, oh no, that won't do. I think it tops out at like 120 for the fastest move. We're like, no. Always have no plan, just impulsive. Hey, welcome to my life. That's why, we have streams that seem to need additional help. Like we have to go and order new parts because we're like, oh well, we're gonna do this. Oh well, let's do this, and then we open the bottom up and realize, oh, we had a Manta M5P instead of like an octopus in this Trident, and then oh, this Trident also only has a 300-watt power supply, and we're gonna need like something a lot bigger. No, I take it back. It had a 200-watt power supply, but we were adding two more motors and going from a 40-watt heater to a 100-watt heater on a tube hot end. So yeah, that gives you an idea of what your tensioning mechanism looks like. So we'll basically use our dials, and I am gonna have to go and reprint these to a smaller size, and we'll use these to turn these in or out to add more tension to the belt, because these little arms here just push on the bearings to push it forward and tighten it against the belt. So those things are done. And it says, and this part is done. So now we're going to start working on the gantry assembly. So kind of two things we need to do. We still need to build our belt, So when we go to build our belt, we'll need to take these 2 screws out down here, pull the front off, put our belt through this, set it back in, do these 2 screws, and then once again, we'll have to do the center bottom screw over here and get that one done, and that'll bring the base fully together. And then technically we'll leave these arms out so that we can pull, come on you, so that we can pull this out. Eventually we'll put this on our belt and kind of lay it down here, but we'll need to feed in the bed system as well. So there we go. We're kind of good for now. I'll put this back like that. We'll set that off to the side, probably right there. And we're going to start working on our gantry pieces. There's just a few. Tools. So, how's it going, Chewy? Hope you're doing well. You're a belt. What heater are you using on this one? This is the where's it at? It's basically a knockoff of a Bamboo. So it's a TZ 2.0 upgrade hot end with titanium alloy heat break and hardened steel nozzle for Bamboo Lab X1 P1 series. So it's a Bamboo knockoff. Okay. Hey, Bexy Beans, how are you doing tonight, dear? So we got a Bamboo knockoff, and then the bed is a Honey Badger 24 volt 60 watt silicone heat mat on a standard, I think that's a 5mm 4-on-V0 bed. This is the same bed that's on Bubblegum Dragon. Except I think yours has the polyamide. So, and that's the bed carriage for it. And we'll have to put springs and screws and stuff in here, and you'll line it up with the top edge of the printed part here. Sorry, now it's sitting a little low. You'll get it lined up with this top edge. So it'll be sitting more like, probably more like that. So that will actually hold the bed a little tighter. Get over there. Okay. Now, we need a couple of different parts. We need this part and this part. This is our little fan duct. It's going to be the cooling fan duct. That part, some M3x10 and a couple of M3 nuts. You're cold and you're fed up and you're hoping to feel better after a visit here. Well, I will tell you that, dragon is a red dragon, and red dragons are fire-breathing dragons, so they can warm people up. Kind of make them a little toasty and crisp, though. Yeah, I'm running the bed heater, and it's that red part that I showed you is ABS. Everything else on here is PETG, but that bed platform support is ABS. That one you have to do is PETG or preferably ABS or ASA. That just happens to be Bamboo Red ABS. Okay, so M3 screws, they're going into this. So we see this little tab here. Let me bring you guys in a little bit closer. We'll switch over to this display. Just a tiny bit. Okay. So we're looking for kind of this tab right here. And we know our screws are coming in this way. So we'll take our hot end, or our cooling fan, and it's going to line up on this uh, edge here. Take our M3 by 10 screw, drop it, then we'll drop it through the part like so. It looks like this part has been redesigned because you would think that you would be putting a bolt right there, or a nut right there. This is going to make it a little bit better. I mean, the nut will go in there, but yeah, you're going to have to kind of do what I just did. Use the, I'm going to tighten that up. So I'm going to take my M3 by 10, drop it in there, line it up in the hole, and push it all the way through like that. Then I'll take my M3 nut, put it on the end there so it lines up, kind of push it through and hold it there in place. Then come back over here and start tightening it up. That way you can ensure that it starts threading through the hole and not just going in at an angle and free spinning off. As you can see, that basically becomes a captive nut there. So other side as well. That one spins, but once I start getting it tight, it should spin less. Maybe, maybe not. Fine. Okay. There we go. Both of those are in there now. It's weird that we are in the top 10 best 3D printing services in our area on Yelp. We don't even self-print, and I didn't even know we had a Yelp. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so I'm basically starting to work and collaborate with the Ecovate people. They have visitors coming into town on Monday, and I may go see said visitors. And definitely once they start getting the setup done up for the stream area that Fabreeko is doing, I will be up there because I've done quite a few Fabreeko builds. I need to take the LDO 2.4 up there now that they're ready for it. Okay, now we need a fan, and this is the part cooling fan. Yeah, I need to take a few things up there and get it set up and ready. You got to go? Okay. Take it easy, free heathen. Um, but yeah, we've got the Optimus P1 that we've been working on and making it work, and then we've got oh, whatchamacallit, we've got a, well, I say we, they have a oh, whatchamacallit, a raised 3D printer that just came in that needs work that was apparently donated. So I'll be playing with a raised 3D printer as well. Okay, so in this thing, or for this is kind of interesting. I will go full screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, we do not screw this fan on. We are zip tying this fan on. We're going to come from the back through the fan hole. Get this zip tie started. And we'll just zip tie this down. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why are we zip tying this instead of screwing it? Small and fiddly for one, and it's going to be really hard to get in here with anything else. It's going to make replacing this a lot easier down the road if you ever have to go and replace this fan, which, let's put it this way, these are small fans. It's probably going to be pretty easy to overdrive them and burn them out. So we'll just get this lined up, tightened up just like that. Whoops. And then we'll snip off our zip tie. And let me catch, I saw something on there. Making meatballs to go with your homemade marinara sauce. See, Liz, if you're going to talk like that, then you need to cook for us out at Remurf. You need to come feed us. And then looking for a part. No, I thought I saw something. Thanks for the lurk, Giggy Jack. Welcome in. Where was the place you're talking about in NC? You're asking because that's your area. Okay, cool. So they are on, if you're in the Raleigh area, they are at 6701 Glenwood Avenue. If you're familiar with the 540 Highway 70 area, they're off 540 on Highway 70 going towards Crabtree Mall area. And they'll be off on the right-hand side. 6701 Glenwood Avenue, Suite 104. Whoops. And yeah, I'm starting to hang out there a lot more, like to the point of I've got a store shirt, and Mrs. Dragon was pretty much selling her butt off at their grand opening. All right, now how is this? Yeah, this comes down, round and up. Be doing like this. So we're zip tying the wires down now, and you kind of want to bring them down and whoop, where we at? Down and around up the side there, just so they're out of the way. There is a little cutout for them to be kind of routed down around the side. We'll get those relatively tightened. And for those of you that are wondering, oi, 1 second, I just made a big mess. If you go to the Digital Dragon Discord, in the announcements, there's an announcement for a maker meetup. We're going to be conducting maker meetups at Echovate. I am in charge of getting those started and up and running. Like 2 hours away. Yeah. So let me, where do I have that at? 1 second here. Where did I put that? Apparently not there. Here. There we go. So, maker meetup at Echovate in Glenwood Avenue, Raleigh. Saturday, April 26th, we're going from noon to 3 p.m. in May, we're going to switch to an evening, go 4 p.m. to close. They close at 7, though I've been there way later. And then we're going to be alternating back and forth between a daytime and an evening time. That way people can drive in, because I know that we have a gentleman by the name of Jedi Spidey that's down out of Fayetteville area. But yeah, we've got a few things going on there at Ecovate. I know Pezlish just had a maker meetup in Canada. You can talk to us about that. You're close to Winston-Salem area, but make trips to Charlotte for Micro Center. Yeah, I make trips to Charlotte to go to Micro Center as well. You'd make a trip to Raleigh to learn some things. Well, there you go. One of the things that I plan on doing at the Maker Mashup is, bring your broken printer and we can work on it. If you want to do upgrades, or if you're working on an electronics project, if you're building your death racer or what have you, and you just want to throw some ideas off of other people and collab, or show off your project or whatever, bring it down and we'll help out. April 28th, 26th. Yes, those dates, once again, April 26th, noon to 3 p.m. May 24th, 4 p.m. to close. June 28th, noon to 3 p.m. And July 19th, 4 p.m. to close. So April is a little bit later because Easter is this weekend. May is a little bit later because this is the weekend after Murph. June is a little bit later because this is the weekend after Murph in Goshen, Indiana. And then July 19th is just July 19th. And it's on the Discord. There is an event announcement on my Discord, and there will also be one out on the Ecovate 3D Discord as well. Okay, so we need to grab one of our rails. Once again, we've got our rails, we've got our stoppers on there. We lubed these up on the last stream, right? Not perfect, but not bad either. We will look. The X motor will have use this one. We'll save those two for the Y. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, bring your printer and we'll work on things. Like I said, I worked on an Optimus P1 that's there. It's this huge, massive printer. I'll continue to work on that as time permits. And then the oh, that one. Wondering if, gotcha. Okay. So this part's been engineered a little bit differently. You'll see that it's got this tab up here. This is going to be a little spot where you can zip tie wires together. So just be aware that some of these parts are slightly different than what's shown here. And what we're going to do is get this lined up. Load M3 nuts into the side of the Y carriage A part where it shows. An M320 into the bolt hole. And then an M3 2x6 to bolt the half to the rail. Okay. So this one has to go in underneath, and that's why it's telling you to be sure that you do that one first. So you've got to have this before you put this down on your rail. Otherwise, you'll have a bad day. This one just kind of slides in and sits there. Make sure that that stays in there as we put down on there. Those holes lined up, and on an M3 by 20. I don't know why. Okay, let's see. We're going to bolt the hot end onto the M3 by 20 into the bolt hole. Then use oh, there we go, M2 by 6 to bolt this down. M2 by 6. Okay, Bexy, and I hope you feel better, dear. Taking off, go smooth with Maker or yell at him or something. I don't know. Okay, so this should be our 1.5 millimeter driver. And it is. And we're going to go ahead and try and do the opposite corners first and get everything lined up before we screw everything down. It might also be that these parts are slightly different because there's two different types that you can do. You can do the basically the bamboo, or you can do a Revo. I think you use the Revo CR, which the nice thing with the Revo CR is that can open up the belt nozzles for the Revos. Whoops. At least that one's in there and captive. The other one I just threw down on the ground. Where'd you go? Where did you go? See you. Got plenty of extra M3 nuts around here. We'll toss it in when we need it. Now we're going to bolt the hot end to the B side, which is the other side of the carriage. This piece, the bolt hole. So you've got this piece sticking up. You've got a bolt hole here, the bolt hole here. So this is how everything's lining up. So that's good. Need some M3 by 20s, some M3 nuts, and our hot end. Load a nut into the bottom of the part. Make sure the hole is clean and use an M3 by 20 bolt. M3 by 20 to bolt the bamboo hot end to the part. Okay, grab our hot end. Open this up. There's a cooling fan for the hot end. Hot end itself will have some tools and some grease and all that good stuff. Be careful with that. You can bend this end in a blink of an eye. Kind of looking at how things are going to go together here. So on this part, We need to put a, let me swap screen. We're going to put a nut on this side. I think I'm just going to couple of these out now. So, nut on this side. Oh, let's put a nut over here, even though it looks like it. Now we're dropping the M3x20. Take that M3x20 and slide it in through the bottom, like so. Now we're going to slide our hot end. Okay, so here, that's the order. This so the little well here, this is where your wires are going to come up through it. That goes to that flat side there. Okay. That's how we're setting this on there. Need to put a nut at the bottom of this. Well, that's fully in. That's fully in. No way that that M3x20 is going to be long enough to put a bolt on there with any semblance of length. So grab an M3x25. Check that. Hopefully that gives us a little more opportunity for thread. The other one, I mean, what we really need is about a 22, 23. That 20 just was not looking like it had enough length to it. I don't know. So maybe it cinches up. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It it does it. It looks like it does go fully through the does make it fully through thread wise. Right? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm as tight as I can get. And you will see that we're getting right close. I mean, that's sort of close. So I'd really like one or two more threads in there. Only about halfway through that nut. I'll look and see if we've got extra room. And if we've got extra room on this side, then I will swap that out for a 25 millimeter. It's just going to look nicer that way. Um, Take a moment and load 3 more M3 nuts on the bottom bracket. 1, 2, that one. Where are we going on here? Go in the bottom of car A, and then 1 in car B. How are we lining this? Confused. Be like that. Like looking at the way this is setting. Okay. Go like that. There we go. And looking at the way that goes. Oh yeah, we're not going to be able to put a 25 there. There is 0 room for it. So we need to make sure that we put M3 nuts here. This spot here. And there will be 1 more that goes on the back side of this. Ah. One here, we got the captain one here, and 1 there, and 1 up here. Okay. There we are. All 4 of these holes now have a whatchamacallit in it. A nut. Because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Nut in the hot end and YB car is aligned right. The 2 pass should snap and have a loose hold on each other. End up like this. Note that all 4 nuts visible are in the pockets. There should be 2 nuts visible on the other side. Sure. 2 nuts. Well, 1 nut now because I just dropped 1 again. That one go bye-bye as well. Oh, found that one. Oh, that's... Hey, found it. Found the other one I dropped too. Sweet. That one back in there. That will come back down there. Okay. Stop twisting and turning on. What are we going to do with this now? Now you can bolt the fan assembly we did earlier onto the face of the above picture. Note that this picture is partially incorrect as the fan assembly is not done. I recommend you do it before this step and at the beginning of the section. Okay. So fan assembly against this side. Okay, yep. That lines up. just like that. And assembly popping in. Everything's going to line up. And we're using M3 by 10 screws, which is the one thing that I didn't open back up. M3 by 2, all four. Okay. One. Kind of go up on the opposite side here, and hopefully we can get this one started. And that's going to be a negative, and I know why. Because gravity's fighting against us on that one. Those are going to be in place. I'll flip this over. Now that nut will drop down into place so that we can screw this in, hopefully. Yep. And there's our hot end so far. Exactly what we think. Now let's put the heater and thermistor on the hot end. You'll need the assembly so far, the heater, thermistor, and clip. Okay, so we'll have this. Let me put that up there. I'm going to grab this. Explain to you why in a minute. We'll have our assembly. We'll have the goo, clip. I won't need these two little, I won't need the silicone sock. You can't use the silicone sock with this. I'm going to take the two grub screws and toss them back in there along with the wrenches for now. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We'll set that aside. We'll need to grab our thermistor and stuff. Tell your fiance about it. She was like, you need to take me too because it sounds like a convention. I don't know how many people are showing up just yet. It's not going to be like a full-on convention, but you never know. You never know how many people are going to show up and be there. Okay, so bead thermistor, very, very tiny bead thermistor. So be careful. You have your silicone heater. I will suggest taking that apart. Kind of wish this had a connector as well to make it a little bit easier to play with, but I'm going to mute the mic real fast, and I'll be right back in a second. I need to clear my sinuses. I will say definitely bring her along. And yeah, I think she was worried about, yeah, that's my wife. My wife has actually talked to Beverly, who owns Echovate, is like, he can't bring any new printers home. And then I still bring printers home and work on them and take them back. But yeah, Beverly refers to Echovate as the was it the husband's daycare or the significant other daycare? Um, Places where we can come and play with printers and things. But yeah, okay. So we have to be cognizant of what side this is going on. We're going to install the thermistor bead in the side of the heat block, put the heater on, then slide the clip up over the nozzle end first. Now you have to be careful here. Your heater, um, there is a notch here at the top and the bottom. So your heater is going to go right in here, right? Kind of in this direction, but it's going to go right between those two. And you need to make sure that it's fully seated between these two, or you can crack this ceramic heater. Then your bead thermistor comes over here on this side. Okay. In your bead thermistor, you'd really want to get some thermal paste in there and then stick your bead thermistor in. So this is the standard GD900 thermal grease. Is why I've got a towel here, because this is going to get everywhere. And normally I would have a glove. Can't get to my gloves at the moment. But you're going to want to take some of your thermal paste, start squeezing some out, and just put a light coating, full length. And then once again, if you can, get like a little dollop right there where your bead thermistor is. And there it goes everywhere. Clean up if you got a mess. What I basically did was just pushed it down in that hole and filled it up. So when I put my bead thermistor in there, it's going to be nice and done up. Now the thermistor is facing the side where our ceramic heater is going. You'll notice your clip here has two little wings. You need to make sure you have your clip oriented right. So when you go to slide this on, it's sliding in the right way. We'll take our ceramic heater, and I try and get these wires in my bit. So I kind of bent them up a little bit to make a little bit of a ridge. So when I put it on, this kind of pops up a little bit, which will be needed. We've got our bead thermistor. So I'm going to drop my bead in there, bring the wires up and get them in that groove. Stick my finger in the thermal grease again. Get our heater. We're going to kind of sit the lower edge in that lip. Push it down on there. Come on, you. Might have been easier to do before we mounted it up, but is what it is now. oriented right. Get on the right direction. I bet you it goes. Once you get started, just kind of make sure that everything is lined up, everything's in place. You push your clip on the rest of the way. Making a hell of a mess as you go. Why not? On, darn. You definitely have to get it the clip the full way so that it provides even pressure on the heater. Kind of a pain in the butt because we don't have both screws in it. And you'll see possibly at the bottom here, there's a ridge at the bottom edge. There you can barely see there's about another millimeter or two gap there. So I need to pull this the rest of the way up, and it's going to be easy to kind of do it just like that. Now that's all the way up and seated. You can now set it down, kind of get this crud covered up, wipe off any excess that's squirted out places it shouldn't be. Possibly look at your hands and go wash your hands, or preferably go wash your hands. I was going to say do what I'm going to do, but don't do what I'm going to do. Way too much. Way too much, and that was the good stuff. That was the 99% IPA for doing my resin stuff. So, yes. Try and get that crud cleaned off your fingers because, like I said, if not, you will be leaving it everywhere on your build. Now, there's on our wires here, you'll notice that our thermistor has these heat shrink on them, and that will not let everything sit down in the groove. So what they talk about doing is kind of putting we'll say a bit of a service loop in your bead thermistor wires so that you can get just the main part of your wires down in there, and then get your heater wires, because there's going to be a fan that's going to mount right over the top of these. So you don't want the wires kind of bulging out and jutting up. It will work for me. Here's one. Another one in there. Not okay, but that's fine. I think that'll be close enough. About the best that I can get right now. May have to keep working on that. feel like these wires are a bit thicker than the normal bamboo wires. That gap, we'll lay these down in there. That's probably the best that we'll get is that right there. Okay. And once again, we're going to be putting a hot end cooling fan, which is the little 25 millimeter jobby. The fan screws into the two nuts in the Y carriage and into the bottom of the heat sink. The two at the top use M3x20s. Why M3x20s? I think that needs to be switched to M3x10s, but maybe M3x20s because M3x10s will just barely be too short. And you want the wires coming out at the top like the rest of your hot end wires. M2.5 at the bottom, and that's going to screw directly into the heat sink itself. These wires go as flush as they can. We definitely want to make sure that the fan moves without making contact with those wires. 2.5 by 12. Yeah, finding out Micro Center was opening was for you. Yeah, when Micro Center opened up, it was a family trip. We went to Micro Center, and we went. When I say we, it was me and Evil Diesel, and Mrs. Dragon, and Evil Diesel's daughter came along as well, and it was a hoot because while we went to Micro Center, Mrs. Dragon wanted to go to um, oh, whatchamacallit, IKEA, which is also right there in that area. And yeah, we took the truck, we made a trip, and we spent a bit. What's going on? Where are we not loading up? You go there, you go there. Go in and start screwing in. There we go. Maybe. Maybe not. What's going on? So I'm unable to get the bolts to line up, and I think it's because of these wires still being tiny bit proud. I can't get the fan down far enough, properly line up on these 2.5. We're going to do the bottom ones back and do the M3s. Definitely be a little bit easier. Bit fiddly, I'll say, to the max. Other. Oh, yeah. Get down here. Where'd the other? Oh, 2.5 doth escape. Huh, I don't know. And doing the M3s, the M2s come out. So, and I think it's all because of those wires. I'm getting stuff everywhere. I have to think through this. Oh yeah, definitely. Come on out. We'll answer questions for you. We will answer questions for you. Okay, you out of the way for a minute. Thin wires are not long enough to make it through the gap all the way. And then if we loop it down, the other wires are still just slightly proud and just enough to cause us an issue. Because they're just slightly proud. It won't stay in place. small fiddly things and wires. Like, I literally wonder if there's a way that I could just route this around the side like that, bring it up and around, and it still be fine. Because I think that's what I'm going to do. It's the only way that everything's going to line up right, or semi right. That one there, this one here. I think that's the better idea. And I'm pretty sure that bringing this wire right up the side and joining it right back with these three like that is going to be perfectly fine. I really want to find that other M2.5 screw. I might have to see if I've got one. It won't be, I don't think I have I don't think I have a silver one, but I do think I have M2, M2, um, 2.56. There. Not in that one either. Maybe. It's a 2.516. The others were 12s, I believe. So this would be a little bit longer and not silver, but might still work. Oh, God, don't make a mess. Oh, let's see if we get this one in. The big question here is how deep is the um, heat sink actually threaded? And it's good enough that that can go in there. Okay. Well, there's our full tool head. Hot end cooling fan, part cooling fan. Yeah, you need to buy another head for the CR6. Okay. Yeah, we need, not pretty, but if you leave a little bit of thermistor wire below the fan until it is past the heat sink, you get it all in. And yeah, like I said, in my case, I'm just going to route it up the side because I was just having way too many difficulties there. Um, Now we're going to need some parts. We're going to need this part, that part, and that part. Looks like a bearing of some sort. Nyler and 3x20. Okay. And a toothed idler. These are smooth. We need the toothed idler. That one. Tooth if you have one. Smooth works great too. You have a tooth. Okay, we're going to locate the hole on the inside of the Y end body. Okay, locate the hole. That's what they're talking about. The legs of the part, the hole should be on the okay. Why is that not? There we go. There we go. So this part's over here. This is coming in from the left. We've got the spot where the hole will go. Where the hole goes through there. Want to put the idler in the holder and secure it with an M3x20 bolt. Okay. M3x20. We're basically going to load this in the shuttle there. Try and get it lined up. Drop our M3x20 through the top. Up through the idler. Go. Sorry. Come down through the bottom. Plastic. Just going to go all the way until it bottoms out. Done. We need to make sure that that idler is moving freely on its own. Seems to be. So we didn't go too, crunch down on it. And it doesn't say anything about putting a nut on the bottom side there. It just says take our large knob and turn it onto the end here. Okay. And this is going to be the tensioning mechanism. So we'll run the belt up and over. And as we tighten this will tighten the belt down. That's the tensioner for the Y belt. Now, make sure the idler can spin freely. Note the hole on the inside upper left. Yeah, great, I put it in upside down because I wasn't paying attention to that hole on the inside upper left. So we get to take this out. And we have to turn the whole idler plug piece around the opposite direction. Pull that out. Flip this around. We want this in the top left, right? Yes. Put it in that way. That'll be in the top left. This gets pushed in. Line up. OG, how's it going? Long time no see. Just said we'll run that all the way down, make sure that that idler still rolls, which it is. So yay verily. Like there's a part of me that wants to really badly put a nut on that. Really, really badly. Like I'm going to. Yeah, like you definitely don't want it to cinch up and bind. But I do want it to be held on. Okay, so that works. With that hole once again on the top left. And it looks like they're using a smooth idler there. Now we're going to take our other two rails. We're going to use our rail guides here. Okay. Pretty tight fit, which isn't a bad thing. Ay, ay, ay. Tight fit. Notice this is not a hard hammer. Just making sure that they are fully inserted into the sides. Made sure that they're pretty lined up. This is just getting the spacing anyhow, so. Sure. So we're using this to set spacing. And we're going to grab the X car, what it's called. You'll notice that you've got this side with the little holes in it, and then this side that doesn't. This is the side that's going to be facing up. The line up and everything's going to match, so that's going to be good. 8 M2 by 6 hex head bolts. So we're going to put these in everything. Okay, I just found, oh, That's an M3 by 10. Oh, I know that was going to do. Not even close. Okay. Yeah, yeah. This is going to be fun one. What I'm trying to do is basically do the big X. So top left, bottom right, bottom left, top right, and then I'll do the inside ones same way in a crossing pattern. Hey, Pez Liz. Spaghetti and meatballs were superb. That is fantastic, Liz. How does that feel like it is not lighting up? Once again, there's very, very little as far as like teeth that are biting in here, so we got to be careful we don't strip these. And once there's the 8 screws that we were putting at. Really small, really tiny. The downside of doing small printers. Now 8 more M2 by 6 bolts and 8 M2 nuts are used to put the 2 X rail mounts on. Put side A on the left, side B on the right. Okay, completely different looking part. Oh my God, how much you want to bet I printed two of the same part? I think I printed two of the same part. Ah, darn it. Do I have set up? Ones? I don't have the parts over. Let me do it over here and see what I missed. STL 3 would be okay. They're the same. Yeah, I printed two side B's and did not print a side A. Awesome. Okay, give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to roll back up to the top. Zero 0.2. Yep. Layer height. Or these 20% ish infill. And let me see if there was any difference. Nope, no comments here. So get that one. We also wanted, if we're printing stuff, we wanted to redo the knob holders, which were that one. The nut knobs. We grabbed two of those. The and I'm going to take that down to 98%, just because they were a little loose. About an hour. Oh, doing the auto trim. Like that. We'll take these down so they don't come down on their own volition and scare the heck out of me again. All right. Now we'll see how far we can go while we wait for that piece to print. what we're looking at is it looks like it's this side. This is the one that's going to need to be done. So we'll go ahead and do this right-hand side. We'll get that secured on. And we'll leave the left off for right now. M2 by 6. And we need our M2 nuts. Oh, hey, 3D Medic Vince. Sorry I missed you earlier. Okay, so we're only going to do one side for now, because that's all we have room for, or all the printed part for. So we'll get the hole lined up. We'll throw a bolt through it. Oh, nice. I didn't even notice this. It has spots to pressure M2 nuts in. Yeah. Not as tight as I would like them to be, but it will work. Not there, we're not there. Okay, so we've got 4 nuts in here, or 4 bolts in this side, 4 nuts on that side, and we're tightened up. We're going to leave this over here for now. Everything's moving pretty easily. That means we've got our good alignment set up. Yeah, update the photo with the new X rail mounts. Yep, because that's throwing me off right there on this left side there. Once all 8 bolts and nuts are tight, you can remove the X-rail tool blocks and check to make sure the X carriage can easily slide back and forth. It should be able to slide from gravity alone or be very close to that. Nope, but with this block in place, it might not, because remember, we had to hammer this block on. So we'll double check that a little bit later. Now we can put the gantry sub-assemblies together, starting with the carriage on the Y rail to the Y end. Use 2 M2 by 8 bolts and 2 M2 nuts are needed here. If you have a longer Allen key, you can use it all the way through the Y end to make sure the nuts and bolts are nice and tight. The bolts go through the rail, through the Y end, into the M2 nuts. Be careful not to let the rail slide apart. Okay. So this is our tool head. We're basically going to take our tool head and mount this side to this rail and this side to our Y rail end, and the hole here stays on the side that we're mounting the rail to. So what I'm going to do is slide our tool head down this way. Get all my wires over here out of the way. Yeah, it's going to go through this piece and into the M2 hold downs, and these feel like they're going to press in a little bit easier or nicer and be held in place. Or not. Fine. These are M2x6s. We need the M2x8s. Grab 2 of those. Only I had a good way of pressing these in and not dropping little M2s nuts on the ground. If only I had something that could help me put these in. Here we go. There we go. Don't squeeze too hard. You don't want to break the part, but try and get them seated in there nicely. It'll make it a lot easier when you're trying to get these put together. This side is going on the side with, and I put them on the wrong side. Awesome. Well, they need to get on that side as well at some point, so. Okay, now it should be easier. We can line this up. Two by eights. Now, once again, if I had a longer driver, I could go through these holes down in here and screw that in and get them nice and tight, but I think that's fitted well. You can slide it back the other way, and once again, this other side is going to go over on this side here. So we'll get our M2 nuts on this side. Okay. And once again, I'm not going to be able to get all the way through that way with that, but what do we have here? 1.5. My ball end driver will get there. Just don't really like doing ball end drivers like this, but we'll do what we can. Pull that stopper. Line up that rail, get the screw down in there. Get that nice and tight. Do the same thing on the other one. Okay. So there we go. We have the one side of the gantry done. Next up, we'll bolt on the Y rail replacement part, which will be the Baby Belt Pro piece right here. And we're doing this so it adds the stiffness and it won't, there's no need to have a second rail there. There's nothing going to be rolling or sliding on it. So by doing it this way, it's a printed part which adds to the stiffness and is, well, cheap enough because it's not going to cost us anything. Just a little bit of extra time printing. We'll get our nuts in place. On one end, we'll leave this up here out of the way. Slide this in there and let it line up. And once again, M2x8s. And we will have to use our whatchamacallit, our ball end joint for this one. Come on, March, line it up. There we go. One, we do the other one. Slide our tool head down to the other side. We've got our nuts in here. So we'll just need our other two screws. Yeah, tell me about it. I'm sitting here, like I ate before stream, but I've got some leftover pizza sitting downstairs. It's got my name written all over it. Okay, why does that feel there, but doesn't feel like it's tightening up enough? There we go. So there's our Toolhead, all of our associated wires. What's next? Install a collet above the hot end in the carriage. Keep the locking clip, the blue and the picture handy as it's not needed yet. So they want us to install the floated tube collet clip. And that's going to go right down in that hole right there. So we should just be able to line that up and push it straight down in there. Obviously, is easier said than done. There we go. That pushed down in there. Now, what's up? Sure the collet goes in nicely and does not crack and bend on the way in. It did. Did indeed. Now we need to install the Y belt. Cut a length of the GT2 belt to 430 millimeters. All right, belt time. Oh, here's our ruler in millimeters. Oh no, I know. Somebody came in asking about an A1 mini yesterday, and the prices jumped, I think, to 360, and that's without the combo, and that's not bamboo. There was price hikes that have been enabled, and that's everybody that's doing that right now. That's not just them. Polymakers prices are going up. When is it, Liz? The May 1st, right? Okay, so we're 430 millimeters, right? Okay, so that's 430 millimeters. Measure twice, cut once, right? Good. Where did it go? Okay. Now we need to install the Y belt, cut a length, and route it to the line on the belt locker part on the parts cooling fan side. That would be on this side because the part cooling fan is on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to line our belt up to match the grooves right in this part here. So we want it to be the full length. We want to be able to engage all of the teeth. These are sometimes easy, these are sometimes hard. This was pretty darn easy. So the belt's in there, easy peasy like. You want to make sure and push it all the way down in there. So get your finger in there or something to push it all the way down. Until it's all the way down at the bottom. Might be able to go a little bit further. We use our flathead screwdriver here just to make sure it's fully seated. Okay. After the belt is installed, again, ends should be on the line in the belt locker. Take a 1.5 millimeter key and fully seat the belt. Through the Y and back down through the X carriage. So this needs to go around that tooth idler that we put in here. Might be easy, might not be. Might be easier when I realized they gave me all of these openings on the outside to guide things around. And I think this goes on the outside or the inside? The inside. So this is going to go to the inside edge here. Go down through the X idler like so. Right? And I think now it's going to tell us to leave it looped and then put a motor in place. At least that's what I'm thinking. Yep, we've already set the pulleys on our motors. We did this on the last stream. So those should be set to the right length. Now to install the Y-axis motor, you'll need the 2.5 millimeters washer optional and 2.5 by 8 millimeter hex screws. Those are these. We put away the rest of the nuts and the 2x6. These will get used when we do the other side that's printing right now. That over there, those are in 3x10. These are, of course, M3. Those out of the way. We need these M2.5 by 8 hex. And we're going to take our motor, load a washer up on a bolt, up to its head, and install the Y-axis motor on the X carriage with the belt around the pulley. Wires coming off the motor should be on the same side of the gantry as the 3D printed Y rail replacement. So the wires coming out of the motor should be facing this side. Basically, I've got the belt looped around in here. So we're going to take this and basically sit it down, making sure that it goes down around the belt. And we're going to install our screws from the opposite side. So we'll take that, we'll lift this up like so, and I'll go ahead and get one of these screws started. Another one going. Now the bottom two, yes, get to gently and gingerly through the crack edge there. You can see we can get to the screw holes, but it's like play an operation. There's one side. Now I'm going to need to slide this down to the gantry some so I can get to the other side. No, don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's the two easier to get to up here, and then the two that we got to, one here and then one down here. So we have those two. We've got our belt. We need to make sure that our belt aligns on the motor and the pulley, which it seems to. After you get all the install, after you get them all in, install the other end of the belt, it should now be possible to tighten down the Y end nut and tension the belt. Are they bringing the belt back into? Okay. So what I think we have to do is we don't go in the full length on the belt on one end because we need to also loop in the other side right up against it. So I'll leave like half of the teeth for the other end of the belt. Or at least a couple of the teeth. So you tighten this up and we bring this back and we throw it in a couple teeth here. I can get it to line up. Teeth line up. Got to set this down. There we go. Get it lined up, push the belt all the way down. Now we can use this knob and tension our belt. Well, that's a nice system. So the front half here goes on the belt. It comes down, goes through our motor, comes up. The other half of the belt goes in the back half of this. Then we just tension down our motor or our belt, and that's moving real nice. Everything's nice and good. Very, very nice. Now it's probably going to want to go into the next motor, which would be the X motor, which is the piece where we're going to run into a problem. Okay, we're going to install the two smooth idlers into the sides. So where we've got these two bolt holes right here, that's where we're going to put idlers. Here's the thing, we're going to have one belt length. It's going to go around the idler, down around the pulley, up over here, and then we'll have tensioners on each side to tension that up. So it's a little bit weird. It's not like a circular or a full belt like this. It's like almost more like a rack and pinion type setup. We're going to install the 2 smooth idlers over here with M3x20 bolts. So we need these are 2 idlers. So we're just going to slide an idler in place. Put our bolt down from the top. Just going to screw right down through the bottom plastic. Make sure that idler spins, which it does. We're going to do the same thing over on this side. We're going to set an idler in there. Get it lined up. 3 bolt in there. Screw this down. That idler's moving well as well. So we're good there. Got our idler on each side. They're both moving very nicely. Now, what's left? Grab these and those out of the way. Here you go. Here is the idlers installed with a 290 millimeter piece of GT2 belt. Notice the way the teeth of the belt are facing. Okay. Teeth are facing the motor here. Whoops. Let me pull you guys back out a little bit. The teeth of the belt are going to be facing this motor when we lay it in there. So it looks like they want a 290 millimeter piece of GT2 belt. So we'll grab our belt. Get that out again. Get it right here at the end. Find 290. Snippy snip. Now, as you can see, we've got plenty of excess belt here. So, kind of nice. We'll go ahead and throw this back in here. We'll use it if we need to replace a belt later on. Now, once again, this is going to go in front of these idlers. Front of the idlers. We're going to slide it through that gap right there. We're just going to kind of, yep, about in the middle. We're going to take our Allen wrench and we're going to grab that belt and just pull it back. Oh, darn it. Pull it back like that. And that makes another little pocket gap for our other motor pulley. So just like this. Got the belt laid in there. We pull the belt back. Tell me to put the okay. Trying to make the belt tensioner. That's awesome. It like never ever told me to put the I don't know, it's like hasn't told me to do the motor yet, but I'm assuming we go ahead and add the motor in here now. It only makes sense. And this will be the 2.5 by 8, I believe. It only makes sense to do this right now. So now that we've got the motor put through the belt, I'm going to hold the belt on each side of the motor. I'm going to come around here and we'll start on the back this time since these are going to be easier to get to. One, here's two. Deal with the belt and gravity. Kind of a pain to get in there. Not too much of a pain, but it's like playing the game Operation. Move this out of the way, move that out of the way. Use gravity to your advantage. Okay. So now I'm going to kind of assure that's obviously we're around that motor. So that's good. Now on this end here, we need one of our belt clips. Got a couple of different clips here. Time to make belt tension parts of the X ends. Loosely assemble the X pivot arm and the X pivot clamp with two M3 by 10 bolts and nuts. So I think what that's doing is taking this part and this part, and we're going to join them together like that. So bolts from the top and nuts at the bottom. Oh, and this apparently, okay, bear with me momentarily. I'm going to sit down. Uh, okay, loosely assembled. That would be why. And M3 by 10. Got 3 left, so I don't know. Don't have any M3 by 10s in there? Oh man, that's gonna get me. I'm gonna have to go with black ones again. Okay. M3 by 10. From the looks of it, this goes through the top of that, through this. We'll put one of these nuts on and turn it a couple of times. Oh, and these actually compress into that bottom piece. So let me do that. Nice and they're tight. You just want to put these on a couple of turns. We don't want it to be really tight because we have to feed the belt through. That feel like it's a bigger one. 8, which is 10. That's 10, which means the other one's probably an 8. That's a 10. Guess it's just the way it was going in. It's weird. Just looks weird. Looks funky. Okay. So we've got these. Thought I had that. It. No? All right. Work with. Okay, there we go. So we've got our clip loosely put together. Put together. There we go. And so we've got some gap in the parts. And these things keep. Okay. Dang it. Busted that. Okay. So you can see we get a little bit of a gap there. That's what we're looking for. A little bit of a gap. Because we need to feed a belt through. Slide the end of the belt through the X carriage in the slot. Slide it into the end. Once you can see the end of the belt in the window, tighten down the 2 screws to lock it into its orientation. Note the orientation. So the belt is facing the 2 screw heads. Teeth are. See if I can't get the belt to start in there. Tooth at a time. So we can see the belt in that horizontal window. Here we go. I got the belt. I got a tooth of the belt. So we're getting the tooth shown right here in this window. So we're just getting our teeth down into where it shows up in this horizontal window here. And then it tells us to go ahead and tighten down the screws. And that's going to clamp the belt to hold that belt in place. And I just split that part right down the middle. Darn it. Well, dang. I got another set of parts. Let's see if I can split those too, since I can't do but one side of this. Hey, Apex Predator, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. Pop those parts off. We'll grab the other 2 and see if we can have better luck of getting this snug without actually snapping things like we just did. I might actually cheat a little bit too. And by cheat, I mean get my nuts pressed in here. And then rather than try and split it apart and put the belt through it, I'm just going to line up the belt in the right spot. Teeth-wise. Push this on the right spot. Yeah, as long as I don't get too ham-handed here. Just snug these down. Got our belt just showing in that little window right there, like it's telling us to. And you can see that what's going to happen is we're going to take these loops right here, switch back screens. Our belt's coming through here. These 2 loops are going to go in these 2 slots here. Pull that belt through. 2 loops are going to go in those slots there. and be lined up. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. There we go. And they'll be pushed in until they line up with that hole right there. Then we're going to put an M3 by 20 in that hole, and that's going to then become the pivot pin for that piece. Yes, Bond Dealheart, or Bond Deathheart. This is a Baby Belt Pro printer. So I'll show you what that means here in a second. So that's fully inserted down in there, and that makes our pivot joint. We'll repeat that on the other side, which we can't do because we don't have that. We have to reprint this side. So what we're doing is we are building. Okay. Let me put a couple of things around here real fast. We'll put that up. We'll grab this. Okay, so part broke. I need to reprint that. What we've got is our base. This piece is going to mount here, roughly. Okay, so this is the X, or excuse me, the Z. This is the X. This vertical is the Y. This is the Pro version of its smaller sibling, which is the standard Baby Belt, which uses linear rods versus linear rails. Really, really inexpensive motors. It uses the same electronic brain, same type of setup for DC input. This does not have a heated bed option. And this is probably going to get taken apart and rebuilt as one of these. And I'll just figure out what I need from the bomb to rebuild it and have two Baby Belt Pros in. But that's what we're doing here is we're building this out. And this printer will have an option, it might be a little bit hard to see, of a 30-degree or a 45-degree position. All right, so there's two positions this could be mounted in. We still need to make our belt. I thought I was going to be able to use the belt from the old one. It won't work. We've got our screen. We've got our brain right down here. This is an SKR Mini E3V3. We have a spot to put a Raspberry Pi if we want to put a Raspberry Pi in here and possibly connect it up and just do Marlin, or you can put Clipper on this. So, yeah, this is what we've been building. And like I said, I just split this part in half. And this part, yeah, I busted the hole there. It's kind of flimsy, so I have to reprint these two, which I can get going right after these other two parts print. And the two parts that we're printing is this turnbuckle right here, this doesn't grab hold of the nut as much as I would like. So I'm going to try and replace these on both sides, and I'll show you what I mean. So that nut is really not held in place by this at all. There's a lot of play in there, and eventually we'll strip the printed part. So I'm reprinting this at 98%, and hopefully that'll clear up that slop some. So we're reprinting those, and we're printing the end over for this side. I actually printed 2 of these. Don't ask me why. I don't know why or how I did that. So as soon as this end's done printing, we'll mount that up. And I'll try out the new knob piece here. And then I'll go ahead and get those other 2 prints set up and ready to go. They're going to be a very quick print. Thank you for the follow. Praxervis? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that letter, that series of letters. But yeah, we're getting real close. Once we get our belts tensioned, you can kind of see the mechanism here. So this end is tightening on the belt itself. So it's a clamp on the belt. This edge is the pivot point. And then you'll see there's a screw and a nut that goes through the other end here. There will be a screw and a nut that goes through this end here. And that's what's going to allow us to tension this x-axis. So we're getting close. We can probably get that done on the one side now. So like I said, as soon as the other side's done printing, we can try and get that in place. We're getting close. We're at 93%, so not too much longer. That other piece will be done. What are we doing here? This is a... After you've removed the slack, tighten 2 M310 bolts on the left side. Hold the belt in place. Now we need to install the tension bolts. Both sides. Install an M3x20 bolt and a nut through the extension arm into the X end. Tighten the 2 bolts until belt is tight. Okay, so that's going to be a couple of these. Okay, we're going to have the pivot joint and that and that. So the M3 nut will go on this side. It'll be a press fit in or a drop God knows where. Where did that go? Did it drop? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we get that pressed in. We'll bring our M3x20 through this arm slot here. Into that hole. And into the bolt. or not the bolt, the nut. Okay. And I really don't want to pull that tight just yet. Leave that sort of like that. We'll do the other side. Once we get this other side on, and we'll get the belt loop through there and start getting that tensioned, then we can go ahead and tension the belt up, kind of like we did up here. Doesn't have to be super crazy tight, but it needs to be taut. In which case we'll be very, very close, I think, after we get the x-axis on and then bolting it together and wrapping up the build. Okay, I mean, yeah, we're getting real close. We'll be able to finish this up on Saturday. And on Saturday, we'll finish getting this done. We'll start tidying and doing all of our wiring and getting everything wired up back to the motherboard. And we'll do the flashing of the motherboard so that everything's flashed and ready to go there. Yeah, we're getting close. It's almost 10 o'clock. I think we're going to go ahead and call it a stream. Just seeing if there was something I needed to address real fast. No. Let's see. We should have. Before I forget. On here. Let me add the x-axis tension pivot arm and pivot. Um, Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I've got another plate sliced ready to go that will be used for the other pivot arm piece. And if I can click on the right web browser over here, let me see who we may have as a potential raid target for this evening. I mean, I have a good idea who we're going to go to if they're up and running. Oh, Keela's up and running. Printcepts Brit is up and running with David Tobin. You don't know, I believe David Tobin is the cameraman for Joel Telling. And I did not see a Big Jano. Okay. Well, because I normally don't have the opportunity to, we're going to go ahead and raid over to our good friend Keela at Keela's Way. So let me go ahead and get that started. Please, everybody, go with me as we raid over to Keela. There are raid emotes down below. Please go ahead and get some of those going. Where's the raid emote at? Oh, that's here we go. Grab some raid emotes and let's darn Darn it. Let's go ahead and get those ready to go to raid into her. And thank you everybody for being here. We'll finish this up on Saturday. Should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'll get the materials so I can make another belt. And I promise you I will have a belt made by Saturday so that we can get this printer going. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for coming out, hanging out, and supporting me. Let's go over and support Keela as well. And I will see you guys Saturday morning. Bye now. And for those of you that are sticking around and watching this on YouTube, if you like what you see, please feel free to like and subscribe below. Make sure to click on that bell to get notified of future videos. YouTube's going to be suggesting one of those videos right over here. Thank you very much.